Hello and welcome back to Glen Ives Craft Design. My name is Chastity Ives, here bringing you a single layer card using the My Favorite Things Geno Blade line Kitchen Cuties stamp set. This is a large stamp set. There are so many bits and pieces to this, and it's such a scene builder in one stamp set that you definitely get your money's worth out of this, and I love that. And I love coloring this, and this was my first time using masking paper, and I I was intimidated, to say the least. I watched a few Kelly Taylor card videos, and her single layer cards are just top tier. They're amazing. So I took a lot of inspiration from her. So what I did is I put my stamp or my masking paper down on my Misty. Just I stamped every image that was in this stamp set just because I didn't know which ones I was going to use. And these were easy to cut out as well, or to fussy cut. I think the hardest one was probably the whip topping and the egg maybe. But I it was a lot of cutting. It took me, I think, roughly a day or two to actually end up getting this full card done. Um, but that was okay. It was a lot of fun, like I said. So um, yeah, didn't know which one I was gonna do. Didn't film every uh, fussy cut of these because, like I said, I stamped every single image here. So I really only show the cutting out of the stove and the kitchen countertops. And I love that this stamp set gives you a foreground and a background. So you'll notice that you can see the countertops to what I'm cutting here, but the refrigerator and the KitchenAid mixing bowl that you see is very front facing. There is no depth to it, so it kind of gives you the layout that this is supposed to go in. So I stamped everything down, masked everything. I didn't show that just because I messed up a couple of these stamps. You're supposed to do whatever's in the foreground. You were supposed to stamp first. Then you put the mask down. Then you put the next image. Then you just keep going. Well, on the whipped cream there, on the cupcakes, you can see eventually where I may have messed up. So, anyways, I blended in the milled lavender, and I forget what color this was, but it was it might be Kitsch Flamingo. No, it's too pale. I don't remember. But I'll put it in the description below. God, it was I was the vibes I was going for was Great British Bake Off. And Great British Bake Off, they're very pastel colors. And so that's what I was going for the I guess the background, the walls, as well as the floor, and eventually as you'll see in the coloring, is a sort of pastelly sort of palette. So yeah, just use speckled egg, the milled lavender, and the other pink that I'll link below. And got this stencil set out. I don't have a floor stencil, but I do have this one that's very like Aztec-y. And I just took my Lost Shadow and put that down, and it gave me what I wanted. So it gives the effect or the illusion that it's a floor, without me having to actually, do anything else extra. And you can see here that the colors sort of smoothed out on the wall. And I super sped this up. This took a long time to color. So I wish I colored this fast. I don't. But at the end of the day, it was probably an hour plus that I spent coloring these in. And you can see here, I love this green turquoise, and I I want a refrigerator and a KitchenAid this color. I don't think my husband will let me, which fine, whatever. But man, do I love it. Um, but I did go with like natural colors for the cutting board that's under the cupcakes, as well as the wood that you see me, or the counters and drawers that you see me coloring in now. I did go a natural sort of golden brown. Again, trying to stay with the vibes of the Great British Bake Off. And you can see here where I messed up the cupcakes and the cutting board, which isn't too big of a deal because it's behind the cat, so it's all right. And the layout I wanted was sort of the two cats that are on the right. I wanted them to be like the perfect team, and then the group on the left with the kitchen and the kitchen, or the refrigerator and the KitchenAid, were the ones where everything was going awry. They got the flour on the ground. One's running away with flour. One slipped on a broken egg that's on the ground and carrying sugar over its head. It just sort of gives it that comical look and feel. And then the hats that are on some of these cats, again, just to give the illusion that they are on the same team, each group's hats are the same color. Just so then that way, again, it brings in the subtle illusion to the person viewing this that, hey, they're the team. um, which could be a good or bad thing. I mean, it is what it is. And then this color blue, the blue turquoise marker, tri-blend marker, again, top tier. Love that. Um, and the cake with the orange slices and the grapes, I don't know what kind of cake that would be, but that's what I went with at the time. And it is what it is. I don't think that would be a good cake now that I think about it, but I don't know. That could be a thing. But yeah, just loved coloring this in, and it just took a lot of time, but it was so worth it though that it didn't really matter that it took, an hour plus to do. And I love a yellow cake. That's kind of why I went with this golden yellow cake. Because I love gold. I love a golden yellow cake with chocolate icing. Oh, that's the cake I always want for my birthday. And my husband is lovely enough to put up with my basic palate, I guess. I have just such a basic, bland palate that, poor guy, he's like, can we put some spices in this? No, we can't. I just want bland flavor, please. Thank you. Um, but as you see me coloring this in, the sugar in, that's kind of um, the one thing I would change, and sort of I realized it at this point, was the paper I chose, the paper base, was not Copic friendly. So the colors bled a little bit, and you live and you learn. It didn't ruin the card, it just didn't give it the effect that I would, like, I guess. The next favorite thing I made I did to this card was the egg that he's slipping on. I made it organic because it's brown. Because I didn't want a white shell with a white egg white. So I just went with, a brown organic egg. um, but yeah. Oh, and I didn't mention this before, but I'm using the tri-blend markers, and I'm also making a slimline card. So it's 7 by 8.5, and I scored it at 3.5. So then that way I have a perfect blend. And then I just took a scrap piece of paper, took some shabby shutters and antique linen, and blended a background. And then I ran that through my Sizzix machine with a brick embossing folder from Sizzix, and took my wild honey distress oxide and stamped a sentiment of, I hope your day is full of joy and cake and lots of cake. And I sort of wanted that to be like a sign above the groups. So then it's just sort of like a banner, I guess, almost like a marquee of sorts. So yeah, that's kind of, the finishing touch I wanted to add. Scored that card, like I said, with just a pink card base, and then just glued the card front down to the card base with some craft tacky glue from Simon Says Stamp. I probably used way too much there, but it's so funny to me how the walls to this to my image really match that pink background. I mean, I didn't realize it was going to be so matchy, but that doesn't really matter at this point. So that was the end of the card. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.